Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Frontier Friday. I am, of course, your host, CCP Jötunn, your father, your caregiver, your best friend. Come here, sport. Let's go play some ball. Anyway, I'm joined today by my lovely guests, my very good friends, CCP Overload and CCP Goodfella. Oh, wait. No, I'm not at all joined by either of those two because they both ditched me today. CCP Goodfella, of course, at home, busy dealing with the outcome of his procreation, and CCP Overload ditched us for a wedding in Scotland. So, cool for both of them to do this to me 2 days before we were getting going, but love you two both, specifically because I work for you. Anyway, instead, I'm joined today by my good friends CCP Wizard and CCP Paragon. Gentlemen, hello, greetings.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, good. Thank you.
Good. Glad that you're here. We've seen you fairly recently, so we're not going to talk to you for a second. CCP Wizard, it's been such a long time. The last time, so we were just talking about this before we turned the cameras on. The last time we had you on here was like we did the physics presentation. We did like those sets of videos we did about like physics. We did one about destiny. We did one about like universe generation with CCP relativistic and all those. And that was the last time we had you on. That was like in like September of last year. It was not too long after I moved here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you've been hard in the trenches for the last year.
I have. Or I was so bad that nobody wanted me again.
That's also true. That's also a possibility. But this is obviously a kind of a big deal. This is like what we're talking about today. Obviously involved you. You were certainly one of my top 4 choices. So I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
And this is a big deal. So CCP, if you don't know, Chad, if you're not aware, CCP Wizard is one of our 2 crack astrophysicists on the team, which is great. And we appreciate your expertise and your knowledge. And we're going to ask a lot of questions today. And you are a guy.
That's it. Yeah, I do stuff. He's also a programmer on the team. So
he is a programmer on the team. He does a lot of stuff.
So he's not just like saying smart shit.
Yeah,
he actually does work.
He doesn't just sit there with like a pipe and a robe. You're like, the universe.
I wish I would.
That would be a lot easier. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to talk about WASD. And the big patch that went out yesterday. There have been a lot of hot takes. I call this stream WASD reactions because what we're gonna do is
I feel like a YouTuber.
I know it's I put like gone sexual at the end of it too question mark. I thought that would have been
That's for the thumbnail.
Yeah, somebody in publishing might have had some questions about that one. Anyway, we're gonna talk about about what happened yesterday. To all of us, I see what happened about the incident. About the incident.
Complete accident.
About the stream or the patch we put out yesterday, implementing a new set of controls, which are the WASD controls, the manual controls, and on top of that, we also removed a bunch of stuff. And some stuff we removed makes a lot of sense. Some stuff people are asking a lot of questions about, and that's what we're here for. So I have notes, everybody. I have notes here. If you see me looking at my phone, that's what that is. I got a lot of notes, so we're gonna get into it and just talk. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tell you some stuff that players are saying, so asking some questions, getting some vibes, and then we'll see what you guys think about those vibes. Okay.
Sounds good.
So just to put this again in perspective, so everybody knows what you two do. You're both working on the team that does like camera and controls kind of stuff. Both programmers. Obviously, you're not a programmer. Yeah, I've seen you do the programming thing at your desk. But like I walk over there, you're doing like the typing.
My role is designer.
I know you're a designer, but do you not do the?
We tell the computer what to do. So yes, sometimes I do.
Okay, so that's basically a programmer.
But it's not my role.
Oh, okay, I see. So you're okay. I got it. Okay. Semantics. Anyway,
the first person ever to call me a programmer. That's so nice.
I mean, listen. If I walk by somebody and I see they've got a screen full of numbers and text that I can't read and it's not in Icelandic, I just assume like
Excel.
Well, okay, that may be true too.
No.
I'm just like, that's a program right there.
I'm gonna let you get on.
Okay, so let's take a look at it. So I'd say in general, overall, sentiment is pretty good. I think people generally support just in like when I was going through parsing out a bunch of information, a lot of people like the change. A lot of people feel like this is a good direction, but I think it's just the current iteration is maybe a little unpolished, which I think is probably something we would all kind of agree with. I mean, just to kind of give a more wide opinion about where we're at right now with this first take of this. I just want to ask you specifically as the designer, when you look at this right now, do you look at it and say like, yes, this is my ideal implementation? Or are you looking at it saying there's still a ton of stuff we could do here?
Well, it's obviously the latter.
Mm-hmm.
This was a least worst thing we could do, in which we wanted to release it to a group of people who are playing in like alpha, pre-alpha, whatever you want to call it. But it's still close enough where it does describe the intent. So it is like minimum acceptance criteria right now for kind of like the design.
Sure.
The game feel obviously is not there, and we don't have the like cross support we want, like controller and yada yada yada.
Yeah. That's all.
Like this wasn't even close to being finished.
Although I will say, and I talked about this a little bit before we got going, I did get a joystick working today.
Yeah.
Using it was the Thrustmaster controls. I just mapped everything the way I wanted to map it, and it feels pretty good. Not great, but pretty okay. But I guess the just taking this back, we've talked a lot about, and I obviously put this bastard out here because I wanted to like set a mood. This is a table piece, but like the game should feel fine if you don't have any like accessories, right? You should be able to play with just the basic. I mean, I know we've shown people some stuff about controllers as well, because a lot of people play with controllers or want to play with controllers. That might be an option in the future as well. But like in your mind, should the game feel still very, very good if you're just playing with mouse and keyboard without having to worry about any of the other peripherals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge here really is to figure out like the actual new part of the controls that Sura needs. So this isn't something like this is not a flight simulator,
right?
So we have to try to innovate here. So we're trying some new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of the ideas are new, because we still want it to be somewhat like intuitive.
Sure.
And we want you to not have the initial reaction be super negative. It should feel like somewhat a little bit clumsy,
mm-hmm.
but like skill is the price of admission. So we want there to be some friction in the beginning.
Sure.
Once we have that part figured out, doing the other stuff is way easier, because that's just been so much explored in like other mediums, other games and stuff like that. So just creating a 6 degrees of freedom with Xbox controller or whatever is just like we can just go and plug it in almost from 20 different packages online, and like it just works, and we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, well, he's not the programmer doing it.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you the same question. So let's move on to the next. I mean, the next.
Jokes aside, like what we're doing now is the innovation part, and that's a difficult part. Getting the team and the players where we kind of like both agree that this feels good.
Yeah,
it is like the biggest lift,
mm-hmm.
and then we want to expand on the actual spaceship fantasy of, more advanced controls, things like that.
I mean, and that is one of the things that people have been talking about a lot. And you mentioned flight controllers or flight sims, and I'm glad you did, because it was going to lead into the next thing I want to talk about. Just more broadly is there are kind of two camps. There's one camp now who's kind of asking like, is this supposed to be a flight sim? I didn't think it was supposed to be a flight sim. Like, why are you going in that direction? Another camp that like they're like, hey, can we do more flight sim stuff? So let's just talk for a moment about challenges, right? Let's talk about where we came from and where we're going now. So previously, with the old point-and-click controls, I don't think a lot of people understand how those worked, or how kind of like wild it is that we're at this point now, considering where we were a year ago. But the way you moved around in space was before was the sphere that is your ship would sit in one spot, and then you would say, hey, go over there, and it would go in that direction. And there was no like, hey, turn left or right. It was just like, hey, go in that direction, and that was it. There was no more granular control than that. So getting to the point now where we have a model that you can tell the model to move around is kind of nuts. But now we're talking about more. People are talking about translation. They're talking about strafing. They're talking about rolling and all these different things. And I guess to take a step back, before we even talk about design aspects, are these things that are all now possible in the engine currently? Like, can you add left and right translation, up and down translation? Is that something that if you wanted to, you could put in today? Not today, but like with some overhead.
With some overhead, yeah. That is definitely the case. And the sort of biggest issue we have now. Well, if you talked to me last summer about WASD controls, I would have said, no, we probably cannot make it.
I think you laughed at me last time. I'm pretty sure I got laughed out of the room, which is fair.
But then we had a very nice intern here that did some vibe coding. And he, tried it out, and we saw that maybe he was going somewhere with it. So I decided to take a better look at the physics engine.
Sure.
And with the recent change, or with the changes we made to actually having the ship have a direction, not being just a ball that can move in any direction at any point.
Yeah.
There's direction, and we can rotate it.
Sure.
So we managed to put it in. To be fair, WASD controls, there is a concern with performance.
Yeah.
We are actively monitoring it, and we'll find ways to alleviate it. But with WASD controls, you're sending a whole lot more commands to the server than before.
Right.
You would just, click the object, approach, and then leave. And now you're fine-tuning your direction and rolling, not rolling.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad actually that you bring that up too, because we were having a conversation earlier. I don't know if it was with us and CCP Goodfella or us and Overload. It's probably Goodfella. He makes a lot of good points, generally. But when we talk about performance concerns, right? We're talking about like what we're doing is not a thing that happens in other games, right? We're creating a universe where it's not just a lobby of 50 people or 100 people. You're talking about lobbies that could potentially be up to, if EVE Online is any representation, thousands of people in one, or thousands of active accounts in one system. Now, granted, we're probably not going to hit those numbers, at least anytime soon. But you still have to kind of take that into consideration when you're talking about what the technology needs to support. So when you look at this, and I know when we increased the tick rate yesterday, kind of out of nowhere. I just walked in one morning. He's like, by the way, we increased the tick rate to 10 ticks instead of 4, which is nuts. But do you look at those? Like, look at those performance concerns and like saying, hey, how much can the CPU actually support? How is this actually going to feel for players? Do you look at that as being like a hard limitation of what we're available to do right now, or do you just see it as like a challenge for the future, like something that we can appeal?
Yeah, we discussed a bit this morning actually.
Okay.
Like, it looks sort of scary when you just look at the what the CPU is doing, but this is like. If we're good at anything, it's these big social constructs with very complicated kind of like infrastructure and performance on this like large scale.
Sure.
So like we see this more just as a challenge, like no one's ever even tried to do this again. Like here we go again. No one's ever tried to do this. So it's not like pushing back in a scary way, but more in like in an interesting way.
Yeah. No, it's a challenge and that we accept, and we're gonna overcome it some way or the other.
Hell yeah. Let's if you are you good?
Yeah, I think there was just like one more thought going
go ahead,
through
please.
my head here on the I absolutely love the conversations that are happening so far and the feedback.
Yeah.
On like, can we get this and can we get that? And I think those are awesome conversations.
Yeah.
And it's also like one of the key things we're trying to validate now is like what is the simplest, least amount of stuff we could do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we know we can add this stuff and we know we can like make you just fly, like you understand what fly.
Fully unlock everything. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, but if we are building a universe, we need a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what is the like easiest, simplest thing we could do to try to maximize for more players?
Sure.
And that's where we looked at, the sort of flight sim, like 6 degrees of freedom model, and said like, yeah, can we do this? Like, of course, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But like, can we make something that's even simpler and but still skill based
and approachable for more players?
Exactly.
Right. I mean, flight sims are notoriously like maybe more of a niche thing for people who really want to like get into the weeds with it. Which is not to say anything about flight sims. I think they're great, and a lot of people obviously at this company and on this team play with flight sims as well. But you're not just making a flight sim, is what we said this earlier.
Not just making a flight sim. The technically correct way to do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, if we do find these more advanced controls that you unlock, and eventually it becomes a thing, then let's not like we know we can kind of like deliver on that already.
Sure.
With high confidence, but
cool.
The other stuff is we aren't so sure, which is why we want to test it.
Let's talk about cameras for a second. So, one of the questions that's come up a lot recently is about the current camera, which as anybody who's played the game knows, the camera just kind of follows your ship around, but it doesn't really follow your ship around. It just kind of sits in a position relative to the universe, and your ship can turn in front of it and move all over the place, and you can spin that camera around to be in different spots. So one of the questions people have had is there going to be at some point a camera addition coming, or maybe a lock behind the ship that will put you kind of in the driver's seat? And you can actually kind of do this already in game if you just right-click your own ship and hit track. It'll track you like it would a normal ship, but it just puts you right behind it, which is a cool way to play, but it's still a little hot and dirty. So that's maybe not the best turn of phrase, but you know what I mean. What I'm getting at is that when obviously this is just a first iteration of a control scheme. Obviously, somewhere down the line, cameras are going to come into play. Is that something that you guys are thinking about while you're working on all this stuff?
Absolutely. It's these two things are usually coupled together.
Yeah.
The kind of character controller and the camera controller. It's pretty straightforward that one is done before the other, which is the movement controller, and we've already have a paper design for what we would want to see from the camera controller, but things always change downstream. So
sure.
The comments that we see now are going to influence what we probably prioritize.
Sure.
And there's a lot to take in there, your overall perception, just like the FOV currently is really slim.
Yeah.
So sort of feels like you're an ant. That makes the fact that no overview is even harder, because you just don't easily see around you. Plus, you're trying to there's no chase cam for the ship itself. So
there's nothing that's actively following you.
Which leads to that. So there's none of that. It's still just kind of the orbit bubble camera.
Bubble camera, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
But absolutely, we are thinking about
this.
Of course. It's just which one do we prioritize? What's going to give us the the biggest improvement for the players when we actually do.
And honestly, camera test doesn't really roll as off the tongue quite as well as manual control test.
No, people will probably have just as many opinions on that as the other things.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about physics while we're sitting here. There's a lot of stuff we want to get into. We're going to get into a lot of it. I will not touch on everything that everybody has asked us to touch on, although I'm sure people would love to have all of their questions and concerns addressed. There have been a lot. The last couple of hours, I was up to 5 a.m. last night just looking through chat and trying to follow conversations, which was maybe unhealthy, but we do it anyway. We're on that grind, baby. But there's just so much dialogue happening right now because this is a polarizing thing. It's a big deal. There has not been as big of a change to the fundamental way you interact with the game maybe ever, at least in as long as we've been doing this. So I guess let's just talk about physics, and let's talk about inertia. One of the big questions that's been brought up a lot is that smaller ships maybe need to feel like they're smaller or more light and more agile, and then you've got other ships like the Tades or Tades, which is the destroyer, which feels very heavy right now. I was playing with it a little bit earlier. It does just kind of yawn left and right currently, and we've talked a lot about how these ships are supposed to feel heavy, but comparing it to what ships people are familiar with in EVE, especially for people who are EVE players, they're drawing a lot of comparisons, and they do feel like capital size at a certain point, and they're not really. So, I guess the question for you guys is this just a balancing issue? Is this just a we're going in through adjusting some numbers, seeing how it feels, seeing how how it interacts, or is there a larger scheme thing going on here right now?
It's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
We had one of the very last things we did before the test is we actually had a conversation on this exactly because it's all the ships are big and they're supposed to be heavy, But what does it actually mean when you translate it into like game feel and numbers? So we made like test ships that are small, extra small, medium large, extra large, and then we played it and we were like, all right, like what is this supposed to feel like?
Right. Yeah.
It's very subjective feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, like I don't know if we can maybe post the curve on Discord later on like what the actual timescale change is over time, just so people can picture the growth.
Right.
But what often happens is we kind of just like find the spot where it feels correct, and then everyone goes like, aha, yep, that's it.
Gotcha.
So it is just a balancing issue.
Still a work in progress.
But it is, still a scheme in the sense of, just like what are these supposed to feel like?
Right.
Like what is and then we're looking at the limits. Like what is the fastest we want it to feel like, and what is the slowest we want it to feel like.
And we also, of course, ships are not there in isolation. We have the entire world that we have not yet have time to adjust completely to the new controls. So once we have those set up, we can also adjust the content so that it feels right.
And you're also balancing. This came up a lot in Discord yesterday when players were talking about it. You're trying to balance both the game feel, how this feels to be playing as a video game, and also a realism factor, right? I mean, we talk so much about being grounded in science and trying to make this a realistic kind of space sim, which I'm sure you have a lot of strong opinions about, which is fair, but like you do have to kind of like big things should feel heavy, big things should feel like they have a lot of weight, but at the same time, you're in a game state now where if you want to turn a ship, you have to press a button and hold it for a little while, or alt hold it and then like lock it in place and then like wait for it to turn around, and that's something that just players have to deal with every time they want to move, right?
Yeah. We also do have a hypothesis where there's just not a lot of stuff to actually do in the micro aside from piloting the ship.
Sure.
So it's gonna feel slow regardless of like we aren't making you do aiming or
not a lot of other
skill
options.
shot
or
like it's still a lot of just interface management, which is quite easy to achieve because there's no skill behind it.
Sure.
It's just mouse click.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels interface instead of like playing a game.
Yeah.
So
so
it might evolve.
Once we start adding more like more actions in there, then those moments where you're just like waiting for the thing to do a thing, and that's actually I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to lead right into my next question, which is about looting. Okay, one of the and this is a concern. I mean, it may be the biggest single frustration players have had so far is because we've removed approach and we've removed keep it range, we've removed orbit. One of the things that players have complained about, and I think some of this is warranted, some of this isn't, right? There are always going to be going to be people who look at the way things were before and say, well, why aren't they like that? It was easier back then, right? Because I could just press the button and then walk away from the computer. And at least me speaking personally, I'm not a game designer. I'm not in leadership. I don't make decisions here. I just talk on the mic for a living. But I don't really put a whole ton of stock into that specifically because, like, if your argument about why the game should be a certain way is because I just want to be able to AFK it easier, that doesn't feel like you want to play a game. It just kind of feels like you want to press buttons and then walk away from the screen. And that's not really what I think we're trying to do here. But at the same time, there are some legitimate concerns, right, with, hey, I just finished killing 30 rats in a site. Now I have to manually go pile around all those spots. So I guess from a game design perspective, and this maybe is a little bit outside of the scope of what we're talking about now.
No, it's great.
Do you think about things like tractor beams, like, mobile loot gathering, or just like a different system of loot gathering where, like, instead of having to open up every item, you just immediately pick it up when you're near it, or anything like that?
I'm going to say, of course.
I was going to say, it seems like an obvious question,
yes,
but
I think you touched on like the looting and the autopilot.
Yeah.
So we can just
bring them together because just to preface for people who are watching who maybe don't know, the autopilot was removed as well, which means people can't just like autopilot in between gates, which has caused consternation. And I think maybe the biggest issue isn't even just that they have to like select the gate in the menu and then warp to it, but they don't even have the option to like list what the gate's jumps need to be. So you ran into some issues there. So let's talk about all those things.
Okay. Yeah, let's do top down.
Yeah,
so
top down, please.
One of the things that is both strength and a weakness for us is we're quite heavily introspective.
Yeah.
So we're pretty. We spend a lot of time discussing and thinking about the choices we make.
Mm-hmm.
This can often hamper us in just like making a decision, and then what that looks like in this case is we can kind of get around that by just aggressively removing things where we aren't sure.
Sure.
And see how much
see
how much the pain is actually.
Yeah.
And we are still in a place where we've inherited some systems from eOnline. So we're having conversations on what the value might be and the pain might be.
Right.
In where we could just like let somebody try it for us.
Sure.
And then it's not like it's really hard to just subjectively have a conversation about it.
Right.
On what this gives us. It's much more straightforward, simpler to just do it.
Right.
And then we can measure the decibels.
Which we are.
So. Yeah, and it's like I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just way more enlightened way to make a decision on what we want. Mm-hmm. Because if like everyone feels super strongly about this, there's probably high value in bringing back the route, for example.
Sure.
And like looting feels absolutely dog shit right now.
Yeah, it feels pretty bad.
Yeah, like this is something we have to think about, and now we have a better baseline of thinking about like how important is this, and like how nice should it feel.
Sure.
So what this does give us, to summarize up, it lets us kind of like set the target for what we want the feeling to be like. And now we can, start, trying out, new features or new stuff, and then we use that to go like, okay, not too much, too little.
Sure.
Instead of just like debating what does it feel like.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just going to point out that looting is now even worse than it should be.
Yeah.
Because we're having some issues with the code quality and desyncs.
Right.
So it's really frustrating being right next to the rack and the server.
And it looks like you're right next to the rack, and the server says, not. You are not.
Yeah.
That the desync issue, I think we're pushing a patch today that may resolve some of it, but I think it's probably a thing that we're going to continue to monitor for a long time.
Of course.
Any situation where the server says one thing and the client says something else is not ideal for a lot of reasons. But let me ask you just kind of a broader question about how we handle feedback when we're talking about the things that affect other things when you're looking at one or the other. And I guess what I'm trying to say is right now we're testing the new WASD controls. We're testing the manual controls, right? When you are, as a designer or as a programmer, looking at the feedback that we're getting, and a lot of that feedback is being colored by other things that now are changed as a result of the first thing, do you look at that and say, like, the feedback that we're getting is... Because like, right now, what people might say is, instead of talking about, hey, the WSD controls, I wish they felt this way, I wish there was, this input was a little bit different, this input was a little bit... Right now, a lot of the feedback is, like, they're shit because the looting sucks now. So do you look at that and say, like, hey, we need to, kind of filter out a lot of that specific feedback because it's not super useful to what the core of what we're trying to test? Or do you look at it all as one big thing that you're just trying to, like, hey, we've done this thing, now as a result all these other things have changed? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, sort of.
Sure.
So,
I know
like,
there's a lot of
you like when you release something, you kind of just have to stick your head out there and just like drink the waterfall as it hits your face.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then after the fact, you have to kind of like think about what you just ingested.
Sure.
None of it is unhelpful.
Yeah.
I mean, there is helpful feedback, more helpful feedback, but
sure.
None of it is like unhelpful. And I mean, we just, we try to categorize.
Yeah.
Kind of like based on trends. We try to see what people are trying to talk about, and we try to, organize it into little boxes.
Sure.
And then we already have a hypothesis that we try to attach the feedback to.
Yeah.
And that informs us on like, okay, were we correct? Were we incorrect?
Sure.
In our hypothesis.
Yeah.
But very rarely do we go into this with no idea of like there have been no surprises so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were talking before this show, and like while things have been maybe slightly more mixed than I thought they might be, as a whole, they've almost kind of been lined. At least what people have been saying has been kind of almost exactly lined up with expectations, except for the looting thing. When I was playing, I didn't really feel like looting was that big of a deal, but I'm also not. I'm running.
We usually tend to like not warn about that stuff.
Yeah.
Because people can get kind of jittery about us actually doing it. So it's better to ask for forgiveness there.
Permission, for sure.
But it also just, those things do expose us in a good way, though.
Yeah.
Like that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why we do it. But you need to be brave. In the moment.
Yeah, and just to iterate, no comment is a bad comment. We love all feedback.
Yeah.
But of course we cannot. It's impossible for us to implement both sides of the problem when one person loves it and the other person hates it.
Right.
So we also have to take into consideration what kind of game we are making.
Correct.
So it has to be sort of within the path we're going forward to with our game.
We've talked a lot in the past about how we're not making a game that is for everybody all the time, right? That is
for no one.
The game is actually for nobody at all. It's for maybe one person on this team. It's actually for CCP Goodfella and only CCP Goodfella, nobody else.
That'd be great. He has such good taste.
Yeah,
at least that was the case.
Yeah,
but unironically.
You're right. We're not. There will be some people who look at this and say like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. But over time, I mean, there was a comment in chat just a few minutes ago about how you used to not be able to warp directly to gates. You had to set up your own bookmarks, be 15K behind the gate because you were warping at 15K. That was a thing that for the long time was just accepted as normal. And then they changed it, and it felt like a big deal at the time, but now we don't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're looking at things like this, and again, we are still obviously in alpha. We have not released a game yet. We are a long way away from a game. But we're getting closer, and every time we do one of these iterations, we're getting, I guess, more aligned in what we think like the final product should be, right? So don't look at this necessarily as, hey, this is finished product. This is what it's going to be right now. We've made all of our decisions. Think of it more like this is an iterative step towards a better whole, right? Yeah. We're always looking for the best holes.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the first time. That's one way to put it.
Yep.
But I
did.
It's correct, and we had conversations about the double click, and there's immense value in it.
Yeah.
That's not the point though. We know it feels really nice.
Yeah.
You just can just like double click and the ship flies perfectly for you, and it's super nice, and you can go get a coffee, and everything's
great
just nice.
In Eve, obviously, but
no, it's not great. Just Eve, it's just great.
Yeah.
Like when you want that.
Yeah.
So we the point isn't that we're just trying to like kill that entirely, because there's still something in there which is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
We know this. But just when does it call for you to be able to autopilot? And I mean, we have on paper like what autopilot should be like, and it's not just going up to a point.
Mm-hmm.
It's with actual like pathfinding and making sure your ship doesn't crash when there's collision and collision damage and etc. So an even more advanced version of it. But for this test specifically, I want to make it clear that like
we're just testing the WASD stuff.
Yes.
But so then you see a future where these two things might work hand in hand, where you have a more automated system in tandem with the manual flight controls.
Yeah, like again, we are maximizing for like we're making a universe.
Yeah. And
a like civilization building game, but you are play one person.
Yeah.
We like, so what we want to do is maximize the amount of people who play a game and the network effect that brings.
Sure.
So we probably get closer to that, if just the general thing you do most in the game.
Yeah.
Ergo, controlling it.
Right.
Is just more ways to do that.
Right.
But some of them should be better at certain points than others. And just like, when do we let you double click? When are you doing WASD? Like in combat, like we probably want to make you fly your own ship.
Sure.
Because we want it to be a skill-based game.
Yeah.
Just like hauling stuff, going to A to B, no action. Probably some kind of autopilot.
Sure. Do you incentivize that by making incentivize that by making it more beneficial to be flying in manual controls during a fight, as opposed to just trying to boat around. Okay, that makes sense to me. Let's speak. You mentioned this just a moment ago, and I want to ask you this question because when we had him on stream the other day, he was a little cagey about it. Collision damage, right? One of the things, and this is true. It says here, crashing into things feels great. Players want it to matter. Hopes for ship damage, ramming, bump mechanics. So we've now instituted a system where if you hit something, you see sparks, you hear a sound. Thankfully, it's not the sound that was in Oblivion the other day, which was playing 4 times every second. That sound was not ideal, but you now have a system where it feels like, and we talked about this. I know CCP Paragon was a little cagey about it because, we don't want ramming things to be the intended, like, you should not use that as a weapon.
Have you tried with the WASD?
It is hard
to ram people.
Well, it is hard. So, and that actually leads into what I was going to ask after this about Actually, let's get to that first. We understand that bumping is fun, crashing is fun. That's going to be somewhere down the line. There are a lot of like UI UX things that are obviously still not in. Do you foresee us having something in the future like some kind of indication of where you're going? Because right now it's kind of hard sometimes to see like what's in front of you, right? Not just because of the way that your camera is, but also because there's no real feedback between. Like I imagine, in cars that have like backup cameras, where when you go to back up, the little screen will show you what's behind you, and they'll have those lines that twist to left and right depending on where you twist the wheel. I think a lot of players are expecting something kind of like that, or some kind of HUD that shows you like where you're at in proximity to other things. Is that something that you guys are thinking about? Is that coming somewhere down the line?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it is quite obvious when you're flying around now that if you're not nearby a structure, you have a very hard time telling exactly what the ship is doing, and you depend a lot on the UI to do that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely plans to improve this tactile feedback from just both visual and sound effects.
Sure.
But we didn't have time to put it in for
this
first playtest of
the first release. No, I mean, everything needs to be done now. Everything needs to be done yesterday.
Yeah. But going back to the collision damage,
please.
There's, of course, we've also discussed this, and I can understand why you were sort of
you look so fucking stressed.
How much time do you have? So the point is that the reason I'm cagey about it.
It's okay. I don't mean cagey.
No,
I don't mean cagey.
I'm joking.
Like,
when we think about how are we going to balance this? So.
Sure.
We don't put any limits on how many people can do whatever. It's just like a sandbox. You can bring as many dudes as you want.
That's true.
So the way we have to balance that is we can compare the cost to the power we give you.
Sure.
Whatever power means. It's going to be throughput, numerical throughput in like DPS or whatever. And we can compare the cost to the power we give you. And now we're adding new kinds of power, which is like ramming power. Let's call it that. Okay. So what we don't want is the optimal strategy to be just to ram you all the time.
Sure.
Like close your eyes, imagine that game where everyone's just like
of 100 people
you're
ramming
playing
100 people.
like Carmageddon in space. It's not the.
I mean, you say that, but like.
I'm not saying it's not fun. It's just not what we're making right now.
Sure.
Maybe later.
Yeah. Okay.
But so we just need to be careful that it's we want it to be an impactful moment when it happens. Like,
sure.
But it shouldn't be. We have like. I mean, I guess there are 2 ways to solve that.
Right.
Either A, make it cost less.
Yeah.
Or now 2, make it harder to achieve. Like
sure.
It's just more difficult to hit somebody.
Right.
The cost one is like, I don't think that's an interesting problem.
Sure.
Compared to just like you're good at flying and you can hit people. But it's gonna be partly you think about your fitting, partly you're just good.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if we also supply countermeasures, so if we have nearby very destructive weapons, and if you try to ram me, I'm just going to turn that on, and poof, the 10 people trying to ram me are just dead.
But the shortened seat version is just we don't want the optimal strategy to be that you can just like trade yourself essentially.
Sure.
For something more expensive.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the optimal way to play a game.
One of the somebody was talking about, and I just keep remembering this because people keep talking about the Expanse. Obviously, I mean we're drawing a lot of comparisons to. Now that we've done this, I cannot tell you how many people in the chat listen to me, Listen to me, chat. If you're watching this and you've been in Discord for the last 24 hours, pinging me and saying, "Hey, what about this game or this property?" Trust me, I know. Listen, baby boy, my little babies. I understand. I believe me. I know. We are looking at everything, and this is one of them. The Expanse obviously draws a lot of comparisons now because we actually have and they're doing all kinds of weird shit in that show. They've got translation like you wouldn't believe. They're just spinning things around in space. Those are all things I think that when people think about. And I guess we're kind of wrapping this thing back around, but when we talk about impacts and collision, those things mattering, it's not a sim exactly, right? You're not going to see somebody hit the side of your ship and the side of your ship just crumples in, right? That's probably not realistic.
Well, you say
I'm not going to promise it.
I mean,
but we have looked at it.
Okay, well, that's horrifying, but all this to say that. I mean, these are things that are. At this point in development, since we're still fairly early, and I think a lot of people want us to be further along than we are, we're not. We just act like we are, but we're not. But those are things that down the road we're still going to be thinking about, and things like better UI UX for moving around, better navigational tools. Obviously, we've talked about that already, and there were a couple others here real fast. Oh, one more thing I wanted to touch on because we're getting here close to time. The environment, right? I think it's probably safe to say at this point that with outside of a handful of smaller examples where things have just kind of been done maybe a little bit proactively, the universe is not really built for this kind of playstyle just yet. We still have a lot of open spaces where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. We haven't really put in when people think about these controls, a lot of times they're thinking what they saw in the Vision trailer, where you go inside the thing and it's this huge maze, you have to go around and collect different stuff, and that's something we talk about a lot as internally, as that's the vision we're aiming for. CCP, I'm sure is probably working on a lot of cool stuff on that line. But when you're designing the game, are you designing just the controls as the controls? Are you designing them thinking this is what I have in mind for how a site might look in the future, or how a structure you have to interact with might look in the future? Or are you just saying, here's the control system, build the sites around that?
The latter.
Okay.
Well,
not entirely.
Not if I put a percentage on it, I would be 70% controls.
Right.
And then there's some camera and some level design in there. Yeah. But I think what you're describing is the overall game feel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Is it's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But usually you do the controller first.
Yep.
And in there we kind of have some specific bets and things we want to try out and validate, which regardless of however we do the camera and the level design and whatever, doesn't matter.
Sure.
We kind of still want to make sure we get those, because those could mean cross-platform or blah blah blah.
Right.
So that's just why we do it first, but of course we think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's being shy here a bit, because during exploration
really?
Of this, he really thought about other aspects of the game, because when you first have WASD, I want to be in the cockpit of the ship, flying with my pits and yaw, free roll, everything. But if you also have to then play the actual game, then you have to think about how much do you need to be controlling your ship, how much are you playing the rest of the game.
Right. I have such a hard time with this dude. I swear to God, dude. He undersells himself so badly not in person. In person, he's a fucking god. And he'll tell you. But you get him on stream and he's like, no, I'm just a little designer guy. We're just making some little design decisions. It's not a big deal. I'm just I workflow and.
Yeah, I mean. It's I don't know. It's the reason I can't really say it is just the huge team effort.
Yeah, of course.
We have a team of designers that also interface with a team of other people, and I'm mostly channeling a lot of people when I say those things.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure I'm not coming off as I am doing this.
Yeah.
That's you're not going to get the full credit.
Yeah,
I'm going to take some of it.
Yeah. It's just completely unimportant what I'm trying to say. So we do think about those things absolutely.
Of course,
discuss them a lot. And now we want to hear what the players think, and like, is this something that do they see the things that we see?
Sure.
You know, that's why we do this test.
Okay.
And that's what's really important.
Let me ask you one last question before we get out of here. We talked before the test, and we announced this to players early on, that after the test is concluded on Monday, we're going to make the decision at that point whether or not we're going to keep the controls in as they are now, or revert back to the point and click, automatic controls while we're still doing refining work. For you guys as designers and developers as a whole, what do you want to see? Like what do you see that makes that decision for you? Like if it was just you sitting there, and I know there are going to be a lot of different voices in here, a lot of different people making a lot of different calls, and everybody's going to have input on it. But if it were just you in the chair, what do you want to see that makes you decide, yes, we're going to keep it, or no, we're not going to keep it?
I mean, we want to, from a design perspective, we want to see if we validated hypothesis. They're based on some I don't want to say like business bets, because that sounds like too corpo, but
a little bit.
Like is the game good? Yes or no? Is this better? Yes or no? And then that we try to create the foundation that we then build on top of, and then if this foundation is stronger than what you have currently, I think we should keep it.
Sure.
Like that's really only what I'm trying to look at, and then we can make some other decisions on like what's priority. Is priority I don't want to point at that. I'll point at that. But like, is it controller or whatever? And that's because those are the things we need to know a long time into the future. Or my English is failing me.
Your English is
we
fine.
want to know it early.
Yeah, of course.
If we need to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the sooner we know that, the better.
Okay.
But just is this gonna be a foundation for a better game? Is the simplest way to put it.
Hell yeah, Mr. Wizard, do you concur?
No, I'm selfish. This is my baby. I love it.
Hell yeah, and it's going in. That's a year's worth of work.
Thankfully, in my position as a programmer, I don't have to make the hard decisions that my fellow here has to do with deciding what to put in a game, and he has. I trust him to actually make the right call to make this
nice for you.
A good game for as many people as possible.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, again, I feel pretty good about the feedback so far. And again, if you're watching right now and haven't tried this out, you can go try it out. Founders, go try it out. Play around with it. Give us your feedback. The more that we hear back from you, and I feel like people sometimes are worried about giving negative feedback because they think that we're going to be mad at them. That's not the case. That is never the case, honestly, unless you're talking about like my hair, which come on, be nice.
We measure the strength of the reaction as well.
Yeah.
So if you if you get a lukewarm take, it's like meh.
Yeah. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them the strong takes are more important.
They're not more important.
They're gonna shout at me. But it is,
if it's like I don't know, if you're being harassy about it, I'm just gonna it goes straight into the garbage. Let me make that clear. Like if you're mean, then I don't give a shit what you think.
Sure.
But like you can express strength of opinion without being an asshole.
Oh yeah, shocking. I know.
If you're an asshole, like I don't give a shit what you think.
Hell yeah.
So, but like we do want to measure the decibel levels.
What the fuck is this? Look at that. What hair? Give me a break. Fuck that guy.
What?
I'm just kidding, Rafa dog. You're fine, I'm sure.
What?
You see, he said what hair.
I don't know.
Listen, I'm working on it. He's not you, me, because I said don't make fun of my hair.
I was gonna say my hair is fantastic, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, calm down. Just before we sat down here, he was just like, I need hairspray.
I had a small.
Do you have any hairspray?
I was having a hairstyle
situation.
Moment.
There you
go. But it was resolved.
It was resolved.
Thankfully. What was I trying to say? Feedback.
Feedback.
It's great. Like we're not what is important to you is probably what should be important to us as well.
Good.
Tell us, good or bad. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
We love you. Anyways, even if you need to be strong in the feedback.
Hell yeah.
It's better than saying nothing.
Love that.
Yeah. But we also measure things, so don't lie in your feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah. mean, seriously.
If you say this sucks and I check and you've been playing 40 hours over the weekend, like, man, I'm not. I don't want to hear it.
It is always. We see this a lot in Eve too. And this is maybe a little bit too far behind the curtain, but every so often we'll see somebody say something about it, and we'll go back and check their character, and they've got like 2 hours played in the last like 3 years, and we're like, all right, bro, come on, like, give me a break.
We do those stick checks.
We do those stick checks
Be
all
careful.
the time.
No.
Internally. We'll never talk about it until now. Anyway, listen, we have run right out of time. I know they want to get started on Live to Feed here before too long. Gang, again, play the game. Check out all the stuff. Give us feedback as much as you can, as much as you're willing to offer. It is useful for us. It helps us make the game better, and I think it allows us to do a lot of really cool stuff in the future. But it doesn't happen unless we hear from you guys. And so far we have. My God, we have. So please continue to do that. That's very, very good. Live to Feed starts here in just a couple minutes, so stick around. Just be watching for the announcement here on this channel. CCPB and the fellows will be going out and doing some cool stuff for that one. I won't be there, but they should be having a good time. And then also, I'm going to announce it today because I got just permission this morning to do it. So thankfully, Iceland, being in the first world, offers a generous winter holiday, and I'm going to be streaming every day of that holiday on CCP TV. We're gonna stream Frontier from like rags to riches kind of thing.
Okay.
We're gonna start in the new play in the MPE, and then like try and build a mall or something. I'm probably
a mall.
A mall.
I like it.
I've done all of those individual parts, but I've not done them all at the same time in one long stretch. So we're gonna see how this goes. It might be terrible. I'm gonna call it Frontier Festivus. I feel like that sounds very seasonal. So check that out if you want to. It's going to be in a couple weeks. We'll put more announcements out about that one later. In the meantime, or until then, rather, I've been CCP Jötunn. I've been joined, of course, by my very good friends, CCP Paragon and CCP Wizard. Thank you all so much for joining us, and until next time, we will see you on the frontier. Later.